Happy March 2026, Montgomery County Fire and Rescue. This is, as you all know, our monthly Fire Chiefs video. We have a few items we're going to talk with you about initially, and then we have a guest that will come on a little later. So let's get right into it. March is Women's History Month, and if I can really quickly tell you a quick story about myself. I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I'm talking about how I got involved in the fire service. So Washington, D.C. was an all-career department, so there wasn't a component of a volunteer system, which actually, knowing what the fire service has to offer, I would have been very intrigued and interested in becoming a volunteer. But growing up in Washington, D.C., that wasn't an option. Matter of fact, the only time I interacted with the fire service was during career day when they came to the schools, or in the hot summers when they opened up the hydrants and the kids they were able to play in the water. Uh, that all changed when my big sister became a firefighter. She became a firefighter in Prince George's County in 1989, and I got the bug from that day on. And so that's how I became a firefighter. A woman, my big sister, got me interested in fire service, and that's how I became where I am today. So for all the women out there, from retired President Tammy Buller to our planning accreditation manager, Dr. Melissa Schultz, to our division chief of human resources, Dee Howard, and to many other women in our organization and beyond. Thank you for what you do. You make a difference not only in the fire service, but in the world, and we see you and we appreciate you. Um, we also, this is the time where we know it's spring is here and a lot's happening. A lot will happen as it relates to the time change. We encourage you to get the word out to make sure that we are changing our clocks, make sure we're checking our smoke alarms. This is a great opportunity through all of our resources, not only operations, but community risk reduction, community action team, emergency medical integrated health system, that we get out and do preventive work and engage the community before the call happens. So there's going to be a lot of work through our school systems, through our community, through our faith base to get out and engage our community. So stay tuned and keep up that great work. 2026 Valor Awards are here. This is our 51st year, and we actually have changed the venue. Pete, where are we going this year?
Music Center at Strathhall,
Okay.
Strathmore,
Okay.
and it's a great venue, and I think it's very exciting that we're going to be there. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, great award ceremony, of course, it always is. It's one of the largest in the region, and it's going to be no different this year. But Strathmore Hall, it's going to be great.
Behind the scenes, what 1075 is doing has been amazing for many reasons to help us get the information out throughout the department about the great things it's doing, the things that we learn, so everybody gets the same information, to our recruiting efforts, and even supporting the Valor Awards. They are the engine behind the scenes that get all the information out, whether it's streaming, whether it's the media, and inside the room to help out with just showcasing the great work from all of our first responders through all the public safety agencies. So 1075, thank you for what you do. Moving on to recruitment, right now, Class 59 is almost finished this part of the process, where we will have a class starting sometime in June or July of this year. Our signing day will be June 2nd.
Yep.
So serve to sign will be June 2nd. We get to meet the family members and the new recruits that will be joining us. Class 60 is underway. The application process has closed. We did an amazing job. Thank you to all who participated. We have over 2,000 applicants, and we're going through that phase. The next part of the phase is the written portion of that. So they're moving along. Great things happening in recruitment. We know that we have more to do. If you have ideas, if you see things that we're not stating or not showcasing that helps us get the best candidates we can get, please reach out to the recruitment office and share that information so we can incorporate that into our next phase of marketing. Uh, Congressional Fire Service Institute is a huge organization in the fire service that helps us with legislation across what is important for us to keep our community and ourselves safe. So this March 2026 is the next time we come together. That brings all of our elected officials, fire service, experts across the world come. I can tell you Battalion Chief Robinson has been lockstep with CFSI to help us understand what are the important parts of the fire service legislation. We also have been working with the International Association of Fire Chiefs. Our very own Assistant Chief Ben Kaufman, our EMS chief, has done an amazing job on Capitol Hill as a subject matter expert, help lobbying for the Rescue Blood Act. And I'm proud to announce, based on his work, he was able to work with the rest of the team of the IFC to get sponsorships for both the Republican and Democrat side so that we can move forward with the Rescue Blood Act. Right now, in that process, the lawyers are crafting the language. Once that language is crafted, we're hoping that we get a favorable vote. And what that vote will do is open up the ability for everyone to have a pre-hospital blood program that they can get reimbursed for so that they can help save their community. And as an example, at the recently we had the unfortunate school shooting at Wooten, and I can tell you, the Dr. Stone can tell you, the first responders can tell you, that whole blood program helped save a life. So thank you for all that the work that you're doing. Please reach out to Battalion Chief Robinson because we have many subject experts in the department, and we need you to go to Capitol Hill with her and with the IFC to help advocate for a lot of work that will keep not only our community safe, but also our each other safe.
Hey, Chief, if I may, also keep in mind it's local, state, and federal where you have people involved in the legislature. You've been down to testify on in the state.
Yeah.
We've had many people locally. We've had some council bills that have recently passed. So a lot of good work by a lot of people, but of course it all ends up on Capitol Hill sooner or later. But a lot of work is being done, a lot of good work by folks at the state and local level as well.
Yeah, and you just have to be a subject matter expert. Rank doesn't matter. So we're not looking for chief officers. We're not only looking for line officers. We're looking for anyone that has expertise that could provide insight to the legislation that's trying to be crafted. So please, if we don't reach out to you, reach out to us through Battalion Chief Robinson so that we can get you connected and get you up there so we can advocate for ourselves. Um, Moving on, well, even before I go on to that, there's been staying in the blood, the space. We've had some significant support through our blood drives. You know that's part of the process as well. We have to make sure that we have that blood that we can use to partner with our hospitals, our legislators, and then also our community to make sure that we have the resources and the stockpile to be able to support that blood act. So thank you for all who participated in the blood drive, and we have some more upcoming, and that information will come out very momentarily. Moving on to our NIOSH report. Our NIOSH report will be public very soon. We recently had an internal briefing. I know it's hard for all of us. Please, there are resources if you get overwhelmed, mental and behavioral health resources, access them. That's bravery. That's courage when you reach out if you're having a challenge. We're here to help you with that. I can tell you, I stay in contact with Lisa. As a matter of fact, very shortly there will be a street renaming of Lieutenant Higgins that I'm so very proud to represent the department, and I'll attend on our behalf to show our support. If there's anything that we can do to help you, do not hesitate to reach out. What I want you to pay attention to are the recommendations. I'm working with your union president, President Buttle. I'm working with the other subject matter experts. I'm working through our legislative branch, our executive branch. I'm going to work and pull from wherever I can to look at those recommendations so that we can make sure we improve and we do everything we can so we never have to experience this tragic event again. So take time, look through it, provide insight so we can be better. A couple more things, and then we'll move on to our guest. I mentioned earlier about our labor contracts. We have three. We have McGeo, which is our civilian contract. We have our Montgomery County Volunteer Fire Rescue Association contract, and we have our local International Association of Firefighter contracts. All those contracts are ready to get in front of council for them to vote on. Once they vote on those contracts, they will be enacted on July 1, which is the which is the fiscal year of 2027. So stay tuned for that. When we're able to share that broadly, we will, and we'll have discussions on that. Bear with us, have grace with each other as we transition to any changes that need to occur based on the new language in the contract. And then finally, we have new support within the two partners within the department. One is retired Assistant Chief Garrett Dyer. I've been talking about him for some time to us, and he is going to help us with our policy renovations. So when you see an email from Garrett, please reach out, welcome him in. He will move around the organization first to listen, to understand what are the pain points with our policies, and then he will provide a recommendation on a path forward so we can start to work together to improve them. And last but certainly not least is Mr. Dan Bay. He is going to help us with our cultural ascension in the organization, and I'll let him explain a little bit about himself and what that means.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks for the introduction, Chief. Let's begin with a couple of things about me, just to give you a little more background. So I've been with uh, fire rescue for well over 3 decades. In fact, I didn't make it through the week before someone turned that into a reference to Old Bay seasoning, dubbing me Dan Old Bay. So it's something I guess I'm going to have to live with during my duration here. I'm really non-uniform. Um, I got my start in this business when I was 8 years old, playing with matches in the family barn and turned that into a pile of ash. So I've been serving my penance ever since. Um, I lived in Wisconsin, got fed up with Midwest winter, migrated to the West Coast and in search of green grass in January. But my first start was with the San Francisco Fire Department. Uh, they had just entered a consent decree under the supervision of a federal judge as well as the Department of Justice. And so that launched me into this whole world of fire rescue. And I ended up working with jurisdictions the size of one station to Chicago, Houston, and a whole lot in between. My footprint here in the Mid-Atlantic, in this area, this region, started with the Arlington County Fire Department back in 1998. And subsequently, I've worked with Fairfax, Howard County, and Alexandria, city of Alexandria. So I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of great people. I'm here because I really love the work. I love the people I get to know and work with. I think this is a fabulous service, and you got a great organization here. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing. It's an ambitious agenda, to say the least. Uh, and we've kicked it off this week by starting to engage with individuals around the organization. But we're essentially, as the chief referenced, we are going to be working in the space of culture. And everything that we're going to be doing is related to that effort. But when I talk about culture, and sometimes people take the word culture negatively, and I want to really better define that. Culture in itself is some people look at it from the standpoint of it's really a collection of the events, values, the experiences that sort of knit together our common experience. On the other hand, a good colleague of mine uh, defines it as it's everything we do. Culture is everything. So we're going to be spending some time in that space. And one of the things related to it is that we are going to be working with the executive team and the command staff to better define and develop a set of initiatives to elevate it to a more prominent level. Uh, and I'm going to introduce this term right now for people to think about. Culture is really a strategic asset. You know, when you go out and you want to recruit individuals, what's important? Your reputation, yeah, the opportunity that people have in the organization to advance and so forth. But what's really important is who am I going to work with? What is our internal culture? And will I be received? Will I be allowed to grow as a person and as a professional? So we were in conversation yesterday at a station, and it got me thinking about a couple of things because we started to enter into the space of culture and having some very, very good conversations, and people were making some good points. And so one of the challenges we have is you're a large department, can't see y'all, can't meet y'all. This certainly helps. But I thought that one of the things that we might do, and I want to give you a little assignment to reflect on, is think about how what is what are the strong elements of your culture. Then secondly, think about what areas in your culture would you like to repair or improve. Reflect on that, and then think about having a conversation with your team. Get your team together and so forth. Because what's important to do as we go through this is to generate, promote a conversation. Now, let me point a couple things out. So, when you think of culture, that's comprised of many elements, and collectively, and I think back to all the organizations I've been through and shared time with, and obviously, what tends to come right at the top is our commitment, our cultural commitment to the community, the service, the caring that goes into that. And you know what? That was not developed overnight. That took a long time. But I can say this regarding every organization I've been into. When I ask the question, "What do you do well?" and first thing that comes to the top of that list is we do service, community service. We care for our patients and our clients and the public. Now there are other elements. Some other elements are I've been in departments who that really talk about really elevate innovation, curiosity. Also, they excellence. So anyhow, so there's many different elements, but think about that. Take time and think about those questions. What do we do well? What do we need to improve? So as I mentioned earlier, one of the challenges is how to reach people, and I think what really makes a process like this successful is you, because the subject matter experts are inside. And what we're looking to do over the next many, many months is to certainly engage with you. But I feel like a casting director as I go around and talk to people and find out what they're interested in and explaining what we're doing. Um, where we really, anyone who's interested, we'd like to hear from you.
So Dan, let's talk about that further. You've been in the fire service 3 decades, and it's hard to kind of come into the culture of an organization. And so sometimes people may feel hesitant to do that. And I can tell you, this isn't a top down approach. This is an organizational approach, in my opinion, where every person's input is valued and plays a significant role in the success of improving everything that we think needs to be improved in our organization. So um, uh, Dan Bay is, as he just said, is offering that opportunity to go direct with him. You can contact him on his number, on his email. We'll have that information for you. But also, if there's something confidential that you want to have a discussion with him about, that's another option. And can you tell me how that worked and how that security happens when someone talks to you?
Well, largely the conversation is between the two of us. And because I know it's important to create a safe space for people to feel confident that they're being heard, um, particularly if it's really sensitive. And time and time again, we've seen them break down those walls, and because information is important, it's very important. Um, I think Chief Smedley truly and the executive staff really want to make sure that the time we're spending, the resources we're spending, are used, and it really rests on having those candid conversations because it helps to point us in the right direction.
I think we've had this conversation through the time um, that you've been doing this, the time I've been doing this. I've seen multiple great documents produced from that. And I used to joke that when I was in another life, where you know I looked down one day and my feet were under the desk, were on top of some 5-inch binders, and I pulled them out, and they were great documents that told a story on what needs to happen. So what are some of the things that you learned through this process after the smoke is cleared, we've got all the information, we've produced this great product that it just doesn't sit on a desk somewhere, or it's not under someone's feet as a footrest.
Yeah, I have definitely seen failure in major initiatives because they're not acted on. I mean, I've gone into more than one department and they'll show me their strategic plan. I ask, well, has this been distributed throughout the department? Well, people know about it, but and in one department, we made an assignment that everyone had to read it before we went and started the questioning process. Um, and that's routine. It really takes a concerted, consistent effort to make something work. Great ideas go into, and in fact, people become very disenchanted. They just, I can remember one department where one individual, I said, "Deja vu, you're here. Next time someone else will replace you, nothing will happen." I think I can pretty well assure them that that's not the case here. So, and in fact, let me talk about a couple other things because um, these are a great benefit, I think, to the members of this organization. And one falls under the heading of talent management. The um, those of you who have gone through promotional processes and those who are anticipating doing that, one of the things we're going to be working on is developing what I call a position assessment guide. So when you sign up or when you're thinking about moving ahead on the promotional path, you gather information about that position, which is usually out of HR, and it's a very thin packet. Additionally, you're going to be spending money, time, and energy, and you want to spend it well. So the position assessment guide that we'll be creating will be a true replication of what that position does. and it's a guide because it has more than one part. So it has a positions assessment section where you'll do a self-assessment of that job, and it's very detailed. For instance, for one organization that we did it for, there were 105 data points for people to check. The other sections include a self-assessment regarding your own personal gathering feedback from peers. So hopefully what it does, it aligns you with people who are mentors and peers, and you get that feedback from them. The last section is about looking at some personal attributes and skills. And then you fold into a planner that helps you summarize what you've learned from doing this. And then you can set some very specific goals to improve your capability to compete in that position. And it's uniform. Everyone can do that. So you're not excluded from a study group or whatever. You can, it's a base document. And again, it's voluntary. The other thing that I'm excited about is the fire services, they talk about succession planning, but they don't do it very well. Um, and they tend to be passive about it. That's about to change. We're going to be working on creating a succession planning model for this organization. And the leadership pool here is very important. I mean, I've had a chance to walk around your facilities. I've had a chance to really know people. And of course, it's consistent with all my other learning from working with other organizations. But leadership is imperative. Having good leadership is imperative. So we're going to really put a strong oar in the water on building a succession planning that is robust. The last thing is we're going to be providing some select executive coaching, which helps to target individuals who are interested, helps to target areas that they feel they need help with. And it's an immersive approach, so it's relevant to everyday life. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that, and again, rather unique, we all function in teams. Teams are important. So we have a healthy teams initiative that is going to involve assessing, team health and function. And the intent is so you get the most out of your day. And it is really very helpful because it focuses on health and wellness as well as the work we do as well as how we function as a team. So um, the last item, which is significant in its own way, is that we're going to be working with experts in the department who are going to be selectively, it's going to be a selective panel, but they're going to be looking at selective assets and evaluating them and ascertaining whether they can be deployed in a different way. So that'll be a challenging task, but it's going to be really, really accomplished by working with experts in the organization.
Dan, that the word, as I'm hearing you lay out, and obviously we've had many conversations around this, but the word empower comes to mind. Um, this is about empowering our people in the organization. Quite often, and we had this conversation during the visit with President Buttle at Bethesda and Cabin John, where you know quite often there are missed opportunities along the way where something could have been addressed or trained or educated, and then it gets to my office, and there's only limited options, and then the president and the fire chief are sitting across from each other in a space where we really don't want to spend that time. We want with the grievance. We really want to spend our time advocating collectively for the things that the department needs. Yeah.
Yeah, in all my experience, I walk in the front door assuming that the intelligence to solve problems is right here. And all we sometimes need to do is focus the energy, facilitate the process, and sit back and listen.
Yeah. So I can, I know what it looks like, and I'm excited that our department will soon see what it also looks like when for me, culture is the ability for everyone to be themselves and to thrive in that space. And so I'm really excited about it. I can tell you from my experiences, Montgomery County is an amazing organization with some brilliant people, and I concur. Um, I appreciate your ability and your subject matter expertise in so many areas, but most importantly for me is that facilitation because I know we have the brain power to do what we need to do to innovate in our organization and keep our community and each other safe. So, Dan, I appreciate your time. I look forward to the great work we're going to do together. And as always, Montgomery County Fire and Rescue, thank you for everything you do. If we're not meeting expectation, please let us know. Take care of one another and have fun out there.